Hey tennis fans, you're listening to the Courtside Videocast. Courtside is brought to you by the minds behind TennisAtlantic.com and the Grandstand 10grand.com. I'm your new host, Courtney Massey, also known as the Traveling Fangirl. You can follow me on Twitter at Courtney Mania, which is my new Twitter handle. Now I would like to introduce the very talented men at my side today. First up, I'm joined by Tennis Atlantic journalist Niall Clarke. He's our WTA expert on the site as well as on this broadcast. So thank you for joining me. Would you like to tell people where they can find you on social media?
Hi everyone, I'm Niall Clarke, as Courtney said, and I am the quote-unquote WTA expert of Tennis Atlantic. You can follow me on Twitter at NiallClarke96, or you can find me on Facebook at Niall Clarke. I'm stood next to a Wawrinka poster, so yeah, that's all my social media, but I hope you enjoy the latest episode of Courtside Videocast.
And I'm also joined by Tennis Atlantic journalist Joe Craven. You might know Joe from his recent coverage of the Davis Cup tie between Great Britain and the United States. He's also a recurring voice on the show. So thank you, Joe. And would you like to tell everyone where they can find you on social media?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at ProdigyRep, and you'll also see my post on men's tennis forums under the name Prodigy ENG, but I'd probably advise you not to do that because they're basically a bunch of crap, so avoid that if you can.
Plus the stuff on Intuit's a bunch of crap.
way to sell yourself, Joe. Alright. Well, it's great. I'm really glad to have these guys with me today to be your courtside trio, the Hounds of Justice, if you will. Not only are we
Shield.
And the Shield. Not only are we huge tennis fans, but we're also huge professional wrestling fans. So definitely don't be surprised if you catch a couple wrestling references here and there.
Whoever can successfully count how many wrestling references there is in the show gets a free virtual cookie from me, so there's a lot on the line.
A free virtual cookie to anyone who can pinpoint all the wrestling references. So that's
All right. Real cookie.
Huge prize.
All right, so let's see. So on this week's episode, we're going to be talking about the men's and women's action in Miami. Also, a little later, might have a discussion about the different players on tour and what we prefer when it comes to the players that we love. So we'll start with the men. Last week, Novak Djokovic won the title in Indian Wells. Roger Federer has opted not to play Miami to better prepare for the clay court season ahead, which can certainly open up the draw to a lot of the other guys.
Yay!
So the top half of the draw is Djokovic's half. Some names to highlight in this kind of include Milos Raonic, who made it to the semifinals last week, as well as Kini Shikori, Tommy Robredo, and John Isner, who made it all the way through to the fourth round last week. So play has already been underway in Florida, and we'll start talking about the early rounds that have occurred. And I'll start with you now. Have there been any matches in these early rounds that surprised you or interested you? And I have the top half on screen.
Well, the first thing that strikes me in that section is Djokovic's round 2 match against Martin Klizan. I'm a fan of Klizan, and he's a wildly erratic player, but he can also produce some big tennis. So you could sort of see if he can hit his peak form, he could cause Djokovic a lot of problems. Also, in the top half, you've got an interesting match between two youngsters, Goffin and Borna Coric, which I think will be an interesting match to follow. And also I think an interesting match which Joe will definitely be following will be Batista Agut and Jerzy Janowicz.
Yeah, that I don't know the status of that match actually, because the doubles match that went on today, I think it was Batista Agut and let me just, I believe it was Batista Agut and Troitsky against Mahu and Roger Vasillan, and the team of Agu and Troitsky had to retire in the second set. They were set and they set down, and apparently, obviously not full details because not many people watched the doubles, but apparently Agu got hit in the eye by a ball. So I don't know the status of that match, but last year at exactly the same round, Janovic and Agu faced, and I think it was actually a reverse of the situation this year. I mean, Janovic had to play in the first round whilst Agu 13th seed. Last year, I believe, Janovic got a bye to the second round whilst Agu had to make his way through the first round. So it's a bit of reversing fortunes for both. I mean, Agu 13th seed in the event, quite good, whilst Janovic has fallen quite a bit, to be honest, unfortunately. But I watched Janovic's first match against Roger Vasillan, and probably one of the best matches he's played in a year or two. I know it's like picking stuff out, but he's one of the most erratic players on tour, and even against guys that that he should be beating comfortably, he manages to make a meal out of it. So I think he'll do the conditions to suit him in Miami, as long as it's not windy, like it is today. Apparently, there's 50-mile-per-hour winds. I don't know how common that is in Miami, but against Roger Vasillan, conditions really suited him. He was able to set up for his forehand. I mean, he's got quite an eastern grip, so doesn't allow for much net clearance, but it was quite a good performance from him. I know another match I'm interested in this section in the second round. If you want to pop back up to the top, please, Courtney, is Gilles Muller against Steve Darcy. I mean, both these players serve and volley, so it'll be interesting to see what tactics they bring to outsmart each other. I know you had Darcy beat Nadal in, I believe it was 2013 at Wimbledon. Quite different here because obviously in Miami courts are a lot slower, but it will be nice to see these two styles going up on a slower court. I know you can still serve volley on a slower court, but the points might not end straight away, so it'll be like a lot of touch shots at the net. So it'll be quite interesting to see that, see how that pans out, I think. And watch out for Cuevas versus Bellucci as well, just for the crowd. Bellucci gets insane support in Miami, and I think Cuevas, another South American, so that could probably going to be on like one of the outside courts, intimate South American crowd. It could get quite interesting, to be honest.
Yeah, speaking of South Americans, I don't think you can go through the top half of the draw and ignore the fact that Juan Martín del Potro returned this week. Obviously, he's been out for a long time with a wrist injury. He did somewhat make a comeback in Australia, but he had to take more time out because the wrist wasn't healed fully yet. He played Vasek Pospisil in the opening round, and he lost in straight sets. I don't know if any of you caught that match, the return of Delpo, but the forehand looked fine to me, but he looked very, 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 very tentative on the backhand side, and obviously it'll come back with a lot more match practice. Yeah, I wanted to emphasise the point. Very, very, very. But yeah, see, he did struggle on that wing, and obviously that's because of the wrist, and he still pushed Pospisil close despite the fact that he's only just returned from injury. So I suppose that's a good positive. He could have easily won both sets. I believe he had set points in this second set in the tiebreaker. So yeah, I'm very much excited to see Delpo back because he's one of the more mentally tough players on the tour, and because of that he could challenge the top players on every single occasion.
And Del Potro is definitely a fan favorite. I think a lot of people really love him and are glad to see him playing again.
He's the most loved Southern transfer, I think. I don't know who it was, but credit to whoever it was. that was listing the most loved world number. I think it was 616 that he is now, something like that. The most loved world 616 has ever been. Oh, that was quite funny, to be honest.
Yeah, definitely. Are there any other matches you guys want to highlight, or any predictions? Any possible matchups in the top half that you're looking forward to?
I've actually just saw it there. Dimitrov against Pospisil. Yeah, expect Pospisil to win that because Dimitrov's in terrible form, losing to the likes of Tommy Robredo. Who else he's lost to?
Tommy Robredo's been, but in defense, Tommy Robredo has been playing really well.
For a player that gets the hype with Dimitrov, I'll come out and say I don't like Dimitrov, but for a player that gets the hype that Dimitrov does, a player top 10 in the world, and people hyping him up to be the next big thing, he's not living up to that hype. And for someone with his talent, I don't like him, but I will admit that he's a very talented player. He should be beating the likes of Tommy Robredo. I mean, he lost to, I think he actually lost to Gilles Muller in Rotterdam. This is basically where the start of his bad form began. Lost to Gilles Muller in Rotterdam. He's lost to, he actually got bageled by Ryan Harrison, of all people, in Acapulco. And that was when Dimitrov was defending champion. So that's quite embarrassing. So Pospisil, he goes into the match as the underdog. And it could be one of those things where Dimitrov just wins through experience alone. But in terms of the upset, definitely be on the cards there. I mean, Pospisil playing quite solidly in singles now. He's not beating the top players, but he's getting more consistent results again. And he's also beating. He's also doing well in the doubles. So last week in Indian Wells, we had Pospisil and Sock. Wimbledon champions, he took home the Indian Wells title, and like a big scalp in the final as well. He'd be the reigning Australian Open champion, so it wasn't like an easy win. He beat the reigning Australian Open champions, Fanini and Bolelli, and en route to the title, they also beat the Bryan brothers. So the big wins for that team, and I think that's going to give Pospisil confidence to go ahead and beat the big names in singles as well. So
definitely.
Just with an upset on the card, and to be honest, there's not much else in that half that interested me, to be honest.
No, you're obviously going to. I think we'll see the big serve clash in the fourth round. Probably going to send a lot of people to sleep. Raonic versus Isner, because it's just going to be one shot every single rally. But Raonic has got the slightly better ground game, so you probably expect the Canadian to come through there. I'd probably say Nishikori again in the quarterfinals. And I think on a slower court, I think it favours Nishikori because it'll make that serve less effective. Nishikori is one of the better returners on the tour, but obviously going against a huge serve like Raonic, even the best returners struggle. So I think the slower conditions will favour the Japanese on that one. There's a lot of the funny thing is, going for this draw, you see a lot of like potential rematches, and I think was Ferreira and Simon a rematch from last week, or was it a different tournament?
I believe that was a rematch.
Not from last week.
I think it happened at the Australian. Let me double check. I believe it was at the Australian Open.
I know they faced each other this year.
Yeah, I can double check for you. That's totally fine. They have faced this year, and the last time they faced was the round 32 of Australian Open. Ferrer won in 4 sets.
Yes, and you'd expect Ferrer to get through that section and probably play Djokovic. I'd be surprised if Djokovic doesn't make it.
To be honest, I've got I've got Raonic. I think I've got a Raonic Djokovic quarterfinal. Is that possible? Or is that
It'll be Raonic Djokovic semi-final.
Yeah, Raonic Djokovic semi-finals. I think. I mean, the slow court. Everyone says slow court might be difficult for big servers in terms of it allows good returners to neutralise the serves. But as we saw in Indian Wells, I think it's a bit of a myth that it neutralises the serve. You still get the big servers serving a lot of aces. And what it also allows them to do, they don't get the luxury of this on fast courts. But with slow courts, they're able to run around the backhand to the forehand, and most big servers, the next best weapon is the forehand. And a guy like Raonic, he was doing it all the time in Indian Wells, and he's able to run around his backhand and just whack the living daylights out of the ball with his forehand. And if he's got time set up for that shot, he's going to go far in Miami as well. Because I think, apart from today where there's freak winds, I think it's even calmer conditions than Indian Wells. I think he's going to do well in Miami as well. I'd say from that half, I think it's going to be a Djokovic. I don't see Djokovic having any trouble. Raonic might have a bit. Against Nishikori, I think I've got them two facing, but I think it is going to be a Djokovic-Raonic semi-final in the half.
Right, I've got Djokovic Nishikori personally, but I can see Raonic.
I've just gone on the basis that Nishikori had a poor loss to Lopez last week, but
yeah, that was a poor loss. Yeah,
it's an open section. I mean, even Dimitrov could surprise. So it's an interesting with a few of the. Well, I call them the not so young guns because they're not actually young, but it's an interesting section with the hyped generation, as I'd call it. So
yeah, certainly.
Sorry. Yeah, I have Djokovic coming through as well. I don't think there's a whole lot of upsets or action going on in the first half. Is that it for the first half?
Yeah, I believe it is. Yeah.
All right, so we'll move on to the bottom half. To me, this half is the one that's packed with some interesting names and matchups. This is Rafa Nadal and Andy Murray's side. Other names include Stan Wawrinka and Thomas Berdych. And, of course, you have some of the big characters like Fabio Fognini and Ernest Gulbis who, always make things interesting regardless of win or losing. So what are some highlights of this draw so far? I think definitely a surprise for me personally was Kokkinakis going off first round to Burlock. Kokkinakis has been doing pretty well lately, and he's definitely one of the players to watch this year. So that was kind of a surprise for me. What about you, Niall?
Well, obviously, like I mentioned, the Miami conditions are slow, so that will help a more defensive player like Burlock retrieve when Kokkinakis is trying to hit the winners, obviously. But so I could see with the form that the Australian showing might be surprised, but with the court, the way it is, it didn't really shock me that much. Wawrinka, he took a set off Wawrinka as well, did Burlock, in a losing effort, which is just completed only a few minutes ago. But despite all the big names like Nadal, like Murray's, like Wawrinka's, I think the most interesting story here is the return of Joe Wilfried Tsonga. Obviously, he's been out injured since the back end of last year, so he's making his first appearance of 2015 here. He played doubles with Gael Monfils, and they could potentially face each other in a third round match, which, in my opinion, would be a match to watch. I mean, both players are known for their antics on court. But if some call it clowning.
yeah, definitely.
On Twitter, when I saw the draw made on Twitter, Monfils against Tsonga, projected match, I just put Cirque du Soleil, basically boxing, to be honest.
Yeah, I think definitely to jump ahead, I think that's one of the matches people definitely have their eye on.
Yeah, obviously it depends on how Songo plays because he's been out for a while, so he might be a little rusty coming up against Smeechek. But personally, you'd expect Songo to come through. I mean, I don't see Monfils losing to Krajinovic, however you pronounce it. But yeah, and I think the winner of that faces Thomas Burdick in the 4th round, which is winnable in itself. So I believe Monfils or Songa could really see themselves going fairly deep in this competition because, I mean, Monfils is probably the safer bet because Songa's been injured, obviously. But I got a feeling that one of those players will actually make the quarterfinals from this section. Probably even could beat an out of form Nadal. Obviously, it depends on Songa's form if he gets through. But I think there's a good opportunity for one of those players to make a deep run here. I don't think that section is particularly stacked with anyone that will definitely beat them. I mean, looking up. I mean, Burdick could. He's got Tomic in the 3rd round. I think that's quite an interesting match. Played at Wimbledon a few times in recent years. I mean, Burdick won the matches, but Tomic's playing quite a consistent year this year, and Burdick can play quite awfully sometimes. So you never know with that one either.
Yeah, he definitely has confidence issues as well.
Yeah, and it's getting above that because he's been quite consistent himself, Burdick, but he hasn't been able to take that next step in any tournament, especially the big tournaments, Australian Open semi-finals, Rotterdam final, etc. So yeah, I believe that there's a good opportunity for a Monfils and Songa here. I really do, and I personally hope that Songa makes it deep because I'm a big Songa fan. But
I prefer Monfils.
Well, I think Songa's more aggressive, and I naturally tend to favour the more aggressive players over the more defensive players.
I tend to go for the showman, who's ever kind of you never know and kind of crazy and show off a little bit. So I definitely pick the entertainers of the bunch.
And obviously I love players that entertain me. I mean, there's no point in supporting players if they don't entertain you. I support one of the biggest clowns on tour, Benoit Paire, so I know what that's like.
Yeah, you like Paire, I like Gulbis, and Joe likes Janowitz, and we like a lot of crazy hothead excitement on court. So what about you, Joe? About any early matches in the bottom half? Did we lose Joe?
It seems like it. I'll just give my predictions.
Okay, we'll do that.
I had Wawrinka going through over Murray initially, but he wasn't really convincing today. It took him 3 sets to beat Burlock, a player who really should be beaten in straight sets. I mean, you never know with Stanley could easily play his way into this tournament. But I don't change my mind very often. I like sticking with my initial thoughts, my initial guns. So I'm going to say Stan through to the semi-finals over Murray. And then I think in my draw I had Monfils making the semi-finals. Nadal beat Almagro today, but he owns Almagro, so I'm not reading too much into that personally. I think I had Monfils going over Burdick and then Rafa because you know, sometimes you just got to pick these upsets. Not all the seeded players end up making their projected, you know, rounds. I had Monfils making the semi-finals and losing to Wawrinka, and then Djokovic beating Wawrinka in the final. I'm not too sure on that one anymore, but I'm going to stick with it anyway because it's still possible. Wawrinka did win today, and so did. And Monfils you expect to win. So there's a lot of quite interesting matches to come up, I reckon, especially in the bottom half.
Yeah, I think the bottom half has a lot of great names and interesting matchups. One of my dream matchups would be Gulbis versus Nadal in the 4th round. Whether that would get to that is uncertain. I think it's possible. I mean,
it depends how motivated Monaco is to receive another spanking off his master.
I don't get that. Anyway, Monaco definitely can take the win, but I always believe in Gulbis, and I think if he, you know, gets it together and he's on point, you know, he can go far. I think Team is pretty interesting. Where was that? Here we go. Team is into the 3rd round and could get Sock or Fognini. Do you think if either Sock or Fognini go through, does Team have a chance to get to at least the 4th round? Or the 4th round, because then he'd most likely get Wawrinka.
To be honest, if Fognini goes through, I think Team has a good chance to make the 4th round. But I think if Sock wins, I think out of that little section, I think Sock will make the 4th round because just basically Sock in America. Obviously, there's a saying every America, most American players play in America. It's kind of a fact, to be honest. I mean, Sock, I think it was the 4th round of Indian Wells last week, on which he was his return to the tour, and I think he's only going to improve for Miami. I'm pleased for him because he was playing well before his injury. It was a bit of bad timing in the off season, so he had to miss the Australian Open. But when he did return, he's played really well, and he seemed to have picked up where he left off. So I think that's good because it's frustrating to see players come back from injury after being playing well and they're not able to carry on that form. So I think it's nice to see Sock in good form again. I think he'll probably. I wouldn't be surprised if he hands a bagel or a breadstick out to Fognini, to be honest. I think that match is in progress now. Oh no, it's not in progress. It's raining in Miami, but that match is due on at some point tonight. And I think Sock will win. Sock versus Team. It's an interesting match, to be honest, because Team's more known for his backhand. He's got a good backhand, one-handed. Whereas Sock, two-handed backhand, it's absolutely terrible. I think Courtney and Niall have probably watched Sock as well, and his backhand isn't really. It's quite an ugly stroke. I'm sure you both agree, but
yeah,
when you watch him, just his forehand, if that guy had his one arm tied behind his back and was just told to hit forehand, he'd still probably get quite far up in the rankings because his forehand is absolutely amazing. I think it's the top spin he generates on it is incredible. I think it's even more RPMs than Nadal, but I'd say that probably the difference with Nadal, I think Sock is more attacking with his forehand, so whereas Nadal uses it to grind points out a lot of the time. I mean, he can be offensive, but he's quite a defensive player. I mean, he moonballs the forehand a lot. I know I'll get showered at by Nadal fans for this, but it's the truth. He does moonball his forehand a lot. Whereas Sock, he gets a topspin, but it's still a really powerful shot. He's going for winners with that forehand all the time, so it's a really good shot.
I agree.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I know. I would just agree with what you're saying. It's very much a great forehand versus great backhand battle. That one. You know, teams backhanders drawing comparisons with Wawrinka's, which is one of the best one-handers on tour. So yeah, I think that'll be an interesting match, and I think with Wawrinka in the fourth round, you never know where we stand. So I think it's a fair opportunity for either one of those players to make the quarterfinals here. I still go with Stan, but I think they'll look at this draw and they'll think, you know what, I can really make a deep run here, and I believe they can, even though I don't think they will. If you get me. So yeah, I'll be very interested to see what's going on in that one.
So, final predictions for the bottom half. I definitely see Wawrinka going through. Murray.
Not definite. Not definite, but that's what I predicted, so I'm going to stick with it. I think Wawrinka, he always gives Murray problems, and I remember the last time they met. I mean, it was back in 2013, but Wawrinka annihilated him twice that year. Straight sets at the US Open, straight sets in Monte Carlo, and I believe that he's got, I don't know what it is within his game, but he causes Murray lots of problems, and that's why I've gone with Stan. But that's if Stan makes it that far, of course. I don't see Murray getting stopped before the quarterfinals. There's just no one in that mini section of his that has any chance. I mean, Kevin Anderson's a type of player who'd beat quite easily, and he should. If he's losing to Leo Mayer, then there's something wrong, I believe. and Geraldo as well. I mean, it's not clay. Might be slow, but it's not clay. So
yeah, I would imagine Murray get through there.
Yeah, and like I said, I have Monfils getting through for some reason. I just think he beat Burdick at the French Open not too long ago. I seem to remember.
French Open was nearly a year ago now, Niall.
Yeah, but I remember beating Burdick in a great match.
Yeah. I know what you mean.
And that was over 5 sets as well. So, and I think this slower court, I think, would suit Monfils better than it would suit Burdick, because Monfils is arguably the fastest guy on the tour. I mean, it'd give him a far better chance to retrieve the big shots of Burdick than, say, a fast court like a Shanghai or a Cincinnati.
Monfils can go on push mode, can't
he? Yeah, and it could frustrate Burdick. It could force errors. Because, you know, Burdick's he's been very consistent this year, but he could still lose randomly, just like a lot of those big hitters can. He could easily have an off day, and if he's not serving very well, then I'd expect Monfils to come through that one. And I'm not convinced with Nadal's form. I mean, you can never count Rafa out. He's one of the greatest players of all time, and he's known for coming back from these sort of situations to arguably being better than he was before. But I just see him recently. He's not the same. It just doesn't seem the same to me. He seems like he's not playing at a top 5 level that his ranking suggests. You know, it's interesting, that bottom half. I think it's more interesting than the top half. I think you see it's just going to be Djokovic all the way. It's hard to see anyone stopping Djokovic, but I think this half is a lot more open to maybe a shock finalist. So I'd Wawrinka coming through the whole of the bottom half, but I'm not confident with that prediction at all. So that's my thoughts on the draw.
So do you have Djokovic winning?
Yeah.
I do.
I mean,
I did as well.
I've
My brain can only trouble in over 5 sets.
I have Djokovic beating Murray in the final. Basically, I think Murray. I don't think he's in. To be honest, even I'm going to be brutally honest here. I don't think Murray's actually in amazing form. He's beating who he should beat, basically. I think he's going to find his way in the final, which is going to be good for his ranking, because he's going to avoid the likes of Djokovic, etc., into the latter stages of events. But he's not in amazing form, but I do think he's going to find his way in the final, into the final. But it will basically be with them two facing in the final. I think it will be the same story as what happened in Indian Wells. Djokovic has become a really bad matchup for Murray now, so I don't think the Scot can do anything to trouble Djokovic at the moment. I think it can change in the future. I mean, Murray played quite decently in the match in Miami last year, but there's not really anything to suggest that he could win a match between the two of them at the moment.
Yeah, it seems they're very similar in this ranks. I mean, they're both terrific defenders. They've both got great backhands, great returns of serve. But Djokovic is just the better player. He just seems he's got the better forehand for certain.
He does everything better than Murray. And I think the difference between the two is Djokovic. I know Murray's good at counter punching, but Djokovic has the ability to turn. He doesn't just counter punch Djokovic; he actually turns attack into defence. I mean,
Vice versa.
In my opinion, I mean there can be matches where Djokovic is quite passive, but when he needs to be, he's quite offensive. And I think he's got one of the most underrated forehands in the game. It's a really good forehand, and I think his game is so complete nowadays on both fast courts and slow court, like a slow court like Miami. And the way he's playing at the moment, I don't think there's anyone that can beat him in this tournament. I think if he does win here, I think it'll be the first player. So, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe he'll be the first player to do the Indian Wells Miami double in consecutive years. So,
well, I'm looking through the history myself. I couldn't really find that, but obviously, if we're wrong, you can correct us. But I feel in order to win this match, Murray has to use his variety. I think Djokovic loves rhythm, and that's why.
Yeah.
If you give him less rhythm, I think he can sometimes get frustrated. I'd like to see Murray use his slice in this matchup if it's to come to fruition. I think that mixing it up with a slice in rallies could frustrate Djokovic a bit. I think Federer's quite good at frustrating Djokovic with his variety.
Yeah.
So I like to see Murray do the same and use that to frustrate Djokovic, because recently he's just been very passive, very one-dimensional against him, and I think that's one of the reasons why he's struggled so much recently against Novak. I can't remember the last time he beat Novak.
Talking of, I know you mentioned Federer before, but I know he's not in Miami, but I'll just correct myself here because I was wrong. Federer won the Indian Wells Miami double back to back in 2005 and 2006. So if Djokovic does win it, he will be the second player to do it. But to be honest, I know I'm getting a bit ahead of myself now. But if Djokovic was to go on and win Miami, it wouldn't surprise me at all if he did the Indian Wells Miami double again next year. I don't think there's anyone that can really challenge him on these events at the moment. I think.
Well, you're really getting ahead of yourself.
I've just mentioned it just because I wanted to say it. But
you just wanted to say it. It sounded good.
Joe's a prophet who can see into the future. Who's
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
He's going to win it in 2017.
the guy who correctly predicted Ernest Gulbis to make the Roland Garros semi-finals in 2014. I bet I was the only guy that did that. Or girl. Not too...
I won't predict him to reach it this year.
Tell me, Joe, am I going to get a boyfriend by next year?
Chuck Taylor's in the area where you live, so who knows? Or Ernest Gulbis. You might have a few guys on the go, so...
The Kentucky gentleman Chuck Taylor gets a reference in the Courtside Videocast. And it doesn't look like we're giving any bad news to Djokovic this week.
But I'm afraid bad news for Rafael Nadal. If he does make the final, he's going to lose to Djokovic on a hard court again.
If,
yeah, it's a big if. I think I'll actually. This is a bold prediction, but I think it's the second tournament in a row that I predicted a Spaniard. Oh no, I predicted a Frenchman to beat Nadal in Indian Wells. This time I've got Verdasco beating Nadal. So, but knowing my luck, Verdasco will probably lose to James Duckworth. Quack. But I've got Verdasco beating Nadal. So, but Nadal's section's full of his pigeons, isn't it? He's got
full of his pigeons.
Yeah, pigeons. The guys who he basically owns. He's got Verdasco. Verdasco.
Magro.
I've never heard anyone refer to players as pigeons. That was the first one.
I've never heard of the pigeon term, right? Well, I'll explain it to you. A pigeon, basically a pigeon. If a player is played, it's actually +4, Niall. So
I thought it was +5.
No, it's +4 according to men's tennis forums. So
well, according to men's tennis forums.
Well, let's have a look.
I thought it were pigeon +5. Is it a turkey?
According to men's tennis forums, so head-to-head, the pigeons, a minimum of 5 matches with +4 different.
So, it was something to do with 5.
He could predict the future, but he couldn't predict that.
Well, I was right. So if a head-to-head's 5-1, it's still a pigeon status. So, for example, recently, Jerzy Janowicz made, unofficially in challenges, he has a 6-love head-to-head against Roger Vasselin, as of yesterday with the Miami match, and so the Frenchman is a pigeon of Janovic's. So Nadal has a lot of pigeons.
Well, I am definitely learning a lot in doing this video cast.
Yeah, and you know what a turkey is?
What?
You know what a turkey is?
Is it when you
Well,
bowl?
I'll make it simple for you. Look up the Rafael Nadal and Roger Federer head-to-head. That's a turkey.
Okay. I know turkey is a bowling term, but I'm not aware of tennis.
Come on. We were keeping it to wrestling and tennis terms. Don't confuse me by including bowling terms.
Well, hey, a turkey in bowling is getting 3 strikes in a row, so I didn't make. But anyway, I think we got a little off topic a little bit.
What a cool name, by the way, Duckworth.
Well, what I was going to say is Thomas Burditch isn't the only bird in tennis, but also we got Duckworth in the mix too. Wow. So Miami, sponsored by birds, apparently.
Wait, can I ask you a question, guys?
Of course.
Do you know about?
Oh. Hey, we're gonna. I hope we don't have to pay for that. Whatever.
Come on.
Well done, Joe. You just seriously offended our listeners' ears.
Yes, you just. I
apologise to any vegetarians listening.
we're deaf now. All right, so let's. It's kind of late at night. I think for all of us here, we're getting kind of crazy. So I think we predicted Novak Djokovic going through to win Miami as well as what he did last week. So now let's move on to the women.
Yay.
And this is where Niall speaks. And
Yes, this is Niall's forte.
And I just show up
This is where I speak to myself.
Yes, so the top half of the draw has names like Serena Williams, my favorite Simona Halep, who was victorious in Indian Wells last week. Other names in this side of the draw is Panetta, Bouchard, Yankovic. So take it away and kind of say what kind of early matches have been interesting and you've been keeping an eye on.
Well, one early match which is on at the moment, which I think is quite interesting, is Heather Watson versus Kerber, but obviously the player's suspended. Kerber's up a set 7-5. Heather Watson served the set at 5-4. Take a lot what you will, but I think I had Watson going pretty far in this tournament because Kerber's not in great form, and I think Kuznetsova is beatable as well. So yeah, neither of them, none of these players are going to beat Serena. Serena's the best, and there's a reason for that, and she's won Miami 7 times, so you probably expect her to win it again.
What's the injury status of Serena?
Well, I know she pulled out of Indian Wells, but I haven't heard anything, so I'm presuming it's okay. But
an honest question: do you think that withdrawal between what Serena did basically? Do you think that withdrawal was a shot at what happened in Indian Wells that caused her to boycott the tournament? I know it's a sensitive subject, but do you think?
I don't think so.
No.
I don't think so at all, because I think if you watched her debut when she came out, I mean, she came out to a standing ovation, tons of applause. Sorry, I can't speak. Tons of applause. I mean, I think what happened previously in Indian Wells is in the past, and I don't think that had anything to do with her withdrawing when she did.
She's got points to defend here. I think it might have been just precaution more than anything. You know, in Indian Wells she had nothing to defend because she hasn't played there in so many years. But here she's got the full amount of points to defend, so she's obviously, I think, going to treat Miami as a bit of a priority in that regard. I also think if you go down to the second section, you've got a potentially interesting fourth round between Anna Ivanovic and Gabina Muguruza, who will be happy that she's avoided Karolina Pliskova because Pliskova's frustrated her a lot recently.
Niall, you pronounced Muguruza really well. Absolute expert, mate. Brilliant stuff.
Thanks. I'm going to need it.
We are only experts here at Tennis Atlantic and the Courtside Videocast.
Well, we say we are.
Hey.
But anyway, I think there's a great chance for Muguruza to beat Serena in the quarterfinals. I think Ivanovic, she's not in the best of form. She wants to set to Falcone. I mean, just think about that. She shouldn't be losing sets to Falcone. And she's lost twice recently to Caroline Garcia. And Muguruza is a better player than Garcia, so I'm kind of standing towards the Spaniard. Because Irania, even though she'll probably beat Pavlyuchenkova, it's not a matchup that's good for the Italian at all. I mean, she can get blown off the court by people like Muguruza constantly. So I expect Muguruza to get through there and Serena to beat her in the quarterfinals. Probably in 3 sets again, because Gabina seems to trouble Serena a lot when they play, including beating her at the French Open last year. So So I'm expecting a fourth round clash between Simona Halep and Azarenka as well. Georgia can cause problems because she gets really big, but Halep will probably be too consistent. I think Azarenka, she beat Jankovic, who made the final last week in Indian Wells, 6-1, 6-1. So, judging by that, you'd probably say Rika's in good form, and she could potentially upset Simona Halep in the fourth round. But right now, I think the safer bet is with the Romanian, because she's, even though she lost a set to, well, now I'm going to struggle with this one, but Silva. I'm sorry, my Czech pronunciation isn't as good as my Spanish, but that's Vedi Silva. You wouldn't expect her to take a set off Halep, but she did, so you never know. I think that's what the beauty of the WTA is, that you never know what's going to happen because of how unpredictable it is, and there's such little differences between the top players and the rest. Talent-wise, it's more mental differences than anything. Bouchard, who is currently interrupted with a rain delay, could face Belinda Bencic in the third round, which is interesting because Bencic is on good form. She seemed to have found defeated in Indian Wells. She hadn't played well, but she seems to have picked herself up. She's got some good wins in this tournament over Hantuchova and Delacqua, so I could see an upset there, but I've gone with Bouchard. I don't think I had her making it past the fourth round, but that was before Joanna Larsson upset Safarova, so I think Bouchard would probably make the quarterfinals now. Sloane Stephens, another one who seems to have found form. She's just defeated Madison Keys in straight sets. She did well in Indian Wells last week as well, so she seems to have found her feet in this tournament. I've got Halep making the semi-final to face Serena, and then to wrap off the top half, I have Serena over Halep. But obviously depends on how serious Serena's injury is. So, right. Bottom half.
Sorry, go on.
Unless anyone wants to add anything,
Nope. We could go bottom half, and which is
got Josberg Radwanska. Oh, now Joe's interested.
Can I just ask a question?
Joe loves Radwanska.
What's happened to Begu's name? Wasn't it Camellia Begu at one point? Or am I just being stupid? Why is it now I-C Begu? What's happened?
Irina Camellia. It's a double barrel name.
That's the name. Right.
Yeah.
Could have written it a bit more properly, couldn't it? It looks a bit crap like that. I see Begu.
You see who?
Oh, saying that. Right, I know why it is. It's Wikipedia, so I shouldn't.
I don't know if any of you. I know you're in England, but if any of you listening, especially watch Saturday Night Live, does Joe remind you of the character Drunk Uncle? Because he definitely reminds me of Drunk Uncle when he just bursts in and starts complaining about something.
I can assure you guys that I'm 100% sober.
No, I'm not saying. I'm sorry. I'm not saying he's drunk. I'm just saying he is like the character Drunk Uncle. But anyway, continue now.
I'll go through section 4. In section 4, you have.
Oh boy.
three talented shot makers in the third round. You've got Radvanska.
Section 5, Joe.
Yeah, section 5. You've got Alice Cornet, and you've got Carlos Suarez Navarro. Those two, the French and the Spaniard, are facing each other. So basically, in this section, tennis wins no matter what. And I think that the Radvanska against Carlos Suarez Navarro, fourth round, that's what I'm predicting, and that'll be one of the matches of the tournament.
Who do you think will come out the winner in that?
It's tough to say. Hopefully Radvanska, because she needs to win the title.
I, I went with Suarez Navarro. She's just in a better form at the moment. Radvanska struggled recently, so I went with Suarez Navarro.
That's because she's probably been distracted by her boyfriend, whoever he is, who's a very lucky guy, we might add.
Jealous. I can sense jealous.
A little bit, yeah.
A little bit. Only a little bit.
Joe is wounded. Absolutely wounded.
Joe is in ruins right now.
To be honest, I don't know why I'm getting hung up, because my other the other player I've got my eyes on the WTA is actually injured at the moment, and she always posts how she goes to the cinema on her own. So.
Oh, I'm guessing we're talking about Laura.
Yeah, exactly. So.
Laura Robson, who I would love. We're getting so off topic here, but I want Laura Robson and Andrea Petkovic to be my best friends and hang out with each other and go to movies and dance and.
Awesome.
So if I doubt any of them will listen to this, but if they are looking for a friend position that they might have available, I am available to fill that friend spot. All right, so let's go back to Niall.
Sorry for stealing you from the Niall.
And continue with the bottom half.
Section 6. Venus and Wozniacki probably make it to the fourth round. And this year Wozniacki fan, I'm afraid I've got some bad news.
Well done.
I can't do it as well because he doesn't have. I don't have that.
Do you want me to do it?
If you want, go on.
There we go. So if you're Caroline Wozniacki fan, I'm afraid I've got some bad news.
Well done.
Bad news. Well, either way, she's never beaten Venus Williams in 6 attempts, and she's only taken 1 set. So make of that what you will. That screams match-up issue to me, and I'd expect Venus to make it through this section because of that.
Queen V.
Queen V.
Yeah.
She's still boycotting Indian Wells, by the way, despite her sister coming back. So.
Well, the whole situation arose from it was Venus's knee injury, wasn't it? So
yes,
I think she's a bit more reluctant, and I don't blame her, to be honest. Must have been an easy decision for Serena to make, and Venus will have focused all her training on Miami, and she'll probably peak for Miami as well. So we'll see how that goes on. We'll see what's going on.
Go on and see what's going on.
Johnny Groove.
Johnny Groove.
Oh, now we're going inside joke over here.
Future multiple-time Grand Slam champion, if you don't know. But
oh boy! All right.
No, but
put it up. / Johnny Groove 420.
This is the only podcast you'll ever hear a shout out for Johnny Groove. So.
Yeah.
If there's ever a reason to listen to us, you just got it right there. Back on topic though, if you want to read more about the boycott of Indian Wells, I did write an article for Tennis Atlantic about it. So, just if you're interested,
shameless self-promotion.
Shameless self-promotion, but it's the only way to get views nowadays. There's an interesting third-round match here. Makarova. Svitolina. Makarova is one of our newer additions to the top 10, and she's because of Kvitova withdrawing, she's got an 8th seed. She faces a future mainstay in the top 20, I'd say. Svitolina, she's got quite a consistent game, while Makarova brings more of a powerful game to the table. So you got a nice, interesting contrast there. I had Makarova advancing over Courtney's wannabe best friend Petkovic in the fourth round.
Petkovic.
So no Petkovic dance in the fourth round for you.
Oh.
Maybe in the third round.
The Petkovic dance, I still listen to that and I still dance to it. It's amazing. So even if she doesn't continue, I will still dance.
Oh, look at section 8. The final section. Look at that result. Gabriel over Sharapova. We saw that one coming.
Yay!
Oh wow!
Yay!
I did not see that from earlier.
Yay! I didn't even notice myself, to be honest. That's how irrelevant Sharapova has become recently.
Joe, I'm glad you're honest.
No, what else? I
Irrelevant.
don't like her. I woke up this morning and I thought that it would all be over my Twitter, and I didn't even know until the evening that she got beaten. But what a fantastic result for women's tennis! I don't think Sharapova's well, she is a good player, but I don't like a play at all. I think she's a bit of she implies a lot of gamesmanship into a game, and I'm just not a fan. So I'm happy that Gavrilova overcame the odds and beat Sharapova. The better over won.
Over. Oh,
Over.
the better over won.
Exactly.
You heard it here on Courtside.
Speaking of over, got big Carolina up there. She's got through a second round against Cindy Quebec. She's going to be the favourite to get to the quarterfinals here. She's playing well this year. She's going to, with Sharapova and Garcia both losing second rounds. She's the only seed left in this little section. So I come up with Makarova. I initially said Sharapova, but she's gone. So I'm going with Makarova over Pliskova in the quarterfinals. Over Venus over Makarova in the semi-finals, and then Serena over Venus in the final. A Williams sisters final. I'm going for it because I think it's looking, obviously depending on Serena's injury, like I said, but it's looking quite nicely set up for that at the moment. I'd say so.
Nice. And if Queen V won, it'd be even better. What a tournament that would be.
Aye, indeed. That's wraps it up for women's.
The Americans will definitely go crazy if that happens.
It happened. The last meeting was in quite a while. I think it was Charleston 2013, the semi-final. The last meeting between the two, was it, Niall?
I think so.
Come on,
You're
Mr.
really-
Come on, you was introduced as Courtney as the WTA expert, so you should know this.
Yeah, like I said, quote unquote. I'm not ever going to proclaim myself to be an expert of anything.
Joe really puts us to work on this team.
Well, you gotta get the best out of everyone.
No, actually, no. 2014 Canadian Masters. Venus won that time.
That was a good Google.
Venus won that time.
Didn't she?
It was a good Google. Yeah. Not sure. It's 3 sets.
Venus beat Serena 2014.
Last year. Yes.
Interesting.
You just blew Joe's mind.
Well, I thought I couldn't remember that. Oh no.
My advanced club was Joe's mind, so it's obviously not hard to do.
Yes. Oh, wait,
Ooh,
that's a negative thing to her.
Sorry.
Behave. All right.
Yeah, so yeah, that wraps us up for women's.
All right, we're wrapped up for the women. All right, well, okay, lots of action still to be played in Miami. We certainly look forward to it. We're going to switch gears a little bit now and have a discussion about the players in general and the different types of players we see on tour. And I'm going to pass it over again to Niall to explain further and get us going with that.
Well, one thing I was discussing with the one of our hosts, Steve, who isn't here.
It's here in spirit.
Is he? Yeah, it was.
Hey guys, my name's Steve Kirby.
We're so going to get fired tomorrow.
I didn't do that. Bad news for Joe.
If we're going to get fired, all of us. We're just going to
No,
Phoenix should give
we
us
the
some bad
people,
news.
This is going to be the highest rated episode of the Courtside Videocast has ever been.
Oh,
just to hear Joe's impression of Steen, yeah?
Yeah, why not? Anyone?
Oh, and the mention of Johnny Groove.
Hmm.
That'll just entice a load of people. But he's got a huge fan base. But what was I about to say? Oh yeah.
we had a topic. We went off it.
Well, I'm gonna get us back on.
Yeah.
Right. Well, we're speaking with Steen, and we were discussing what type of player you would rather support, a more erratic player like a Wawrinka who is prone to early frustrating upsets, but has also got that ultimate triumph for winning a Grand Slam at the Australian Open last year, or would you rather support someone like a David Ferrer who is more consistent, will make the latter stages of the tournaments consistently, but not win any huge titles, mainly win 250s and 500s. So, what do you guys think?
I would rather pick somebody, I think, more erratic. And obviously, I think if you see the players that I like, they tend to be more up and down. And I think, I'm somebody who likes emotions and likes the drama and likes the theatrics, I guess. So I think in terms of myself, I think I would definitely go erratic than someone who's more consistent but still doesn't always get the big wins.
Well, I'd probably say the same because I'll go through a list of players I support and see if you could pick out the erratic ones. I'll give you a clue. It's not very hard. Songa, Wawrinka, Del Potro, Nishikori, Benoit Pet. There you go. Daniel Brands.
Let me think.
Martin Klizan. I like Klizan as well.
It might take a while. Just bear with me.
Might take a while for this one.
Who's ever typing or tapping? That's very loud.
My calculation.
Oh, he was calculating. That's what that was. I see.
Is all of those players?
It's a lot, doesn't it? But
can't believe
two of them have got Grand Slams.
You asked me a question, and it's all of those players, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you. Right. Come on.
This is the worst game show I've ever been on.
Since when has a video cast about tennis been a game show? Are we being graded here? Is Steen in the background giving us points?
Oh boy.
2 points for Joe.
To be honest, we're doing awesome. Come on.
Right. Go on, Joe. What would you prefer then? More erratic with Grand Slams or more consistent without a Grand Slam?
Well, to be honest, I support some of the top players, but in terms of lower ranked players, that's where you're gonna. That's where you're gonna find players like this. And in terms of the lower ranked players I support, I think all of them are erratic in a way. I mean, Del Potro obviously is like 616 now. He's the lowest ranked player I support. I'm not gonna go to sombrero local levels, but. No, but to be honest, I support Jerzy Janovic, King Kyrgios.
Crap.
Stop, man, they're great. Both of them are quite erratic, and to be honest, neither of them has won a title. To be honest, and I'm not.
Do you care?
Well, I mean, I like Djokovic and I like Murray. They've got lots of slams between them, but. I enjoy watching players that haven't got titles as well. I like to watch matches, to watch players play good tennis. So in terms of I found from following Janovic, especially since the Paris Masters won in 2013, 2012, that when a player goes, like an erratic player goes on a bad run of results, it makes it more fun. It makes the next win mean more, so it's more
Yeah.
special. It's quite an exciting feeling. It's like a feeling of relief, but it's nice to see them back in winning ways. So definitely excuse me, definitely the more erratic players.
Yeah, for sure. Because I said this once in a conversation with someone. Speaking about Ben Marpere, funnily enough, I'd rather Ben Marpere continue to be a clown every single match and entertainment than stop becoming a clown, become more serious, and win a title. I just would, because for me, supporting players, it's not about success, it's about what they bring
Yeah,
and
I feel the same
what
way.
they can do to entertain you.
I feel the same way, and I think, of course, I like Ernest Gulbis, and he always talks about how he wants more personalities to come out on the court and things like that. And I think, yes, this is a competition. Yes, it's their careers, and it's very serious, but I think you can still go out there and have fun and have these characters and have these moments to really grip the crowd and make us a part of it as much as they are. And still win and still have fun, and I would love to see more of that and support players who definitely just go out there and have fun and give us these crazy entertaining moments that we talk about for weeks on Twitter.
Yeah, I mean, every single match, but it paired does something. Whether it's a racket smash, trying to start a fight with Michael Lodra, throwing stuff out of his bag, I think I remember did. Once I think he just laid down on court randomly for no apparent reason against Bogomolov Jr. in the US Open. Randomly shouting stuff in French to Karlovic, calling him basically boring and this is not tennis, even though Karlovic actually knows French. So, it's just, I just find him hilarious, and I think, a lot of people look at him and think, what a knobhead, but at the end of the day, I think he's entertaining, and
Yeah,
I don't want him to stop being entertaining.
I agree. Like, I think it's important to have that kind of diversity in tennis and have those serious, straight, great tennis guys, and then ones that, are just fun to watch, that you sit there and you're going to be entertained regardless of the scoreline. You go and you watch to see what happens. And I think Fognini is like that as well, where anytime I'm at a tournament, I usually go to Cincinnati, and I have friends that just go to his matches just to see what he's going to do. And I think that's great. I think that's exciting and interesting and brings out all these characters. So I think it's great. I think we should embrace the different personalities and the different styles. It might not be for you, but I think we should definitely embrace the diversity and the absolute craziness that these guys can bring.
Well, that's the thing for me. Who wants to see boring, robotic personalities throughout the tour? It'd just be crap. Let's be honest. It'd be boring. And
I think it's a shame. It's a shame Steen's not in here, because he definitely likes the less colorful characters on tour.
Oh, that's not true. That's not true. Steen is an Andy Murray fan, so.
Well, besides that, we've talked about this a lot, because he tends to focus very much on the tennis. So it would have been interesting to have him his take on this. But yeah, I definitely think we need to further embrace the crazies and the bad boys and.
Tennis isn't a gentleman's sport anymore. I don't know if I'm the only one frustrated by the constant attempts by some people surrounding the game to keep it as a gentleman's sport. It's not a gentleman's sport. You can't have a sport where there's two people competing against each other. You can't have everything trying to be gentlemen. Like, there needs to be characters. There needs to be, like, not bust-ups, but there needs to be arguments and everything between players, because how's the sport going to grow and become more global if people are just getting on with each other? Oh, that was a very good shot. Imagine people doing that.
And having their tea and their hats. Yeah, I agree. And in fact, I'm currently working on a article for Tennis Atlantic about what tennis can take from professional wrestling, and kind of incorporating that kind of entertainment and those personalities and really showcasing them instead of kind of hiding them or trying to say, oh, it's not sportsmanship like. It's, you know, I think we need to embrace the kind of characters and stuff, because you're going to have, you know, I mean, look at what McEnroe used to do. I mean, it wasn't all, you know, these, you know, it wasn't all Roger Federer. You know, back in the day, you know, in the 80s, like, you had all these crazy characters, these guys that would, you know, create such drama on the court, and certainly I don't watch tennis and go, oh, I hope something dramatic happens. But yeah, you want it to happen. You know, I'm someone that definitely is into, you know, the theatrics of it, and, you know, I want to see someone break the racket. You know, and I'm like Gulbis. You know, Gulbis doesn't want it to be so gentlemanly. He wants it to be like boxing and you know, talking trash with each other and have it more real, because it is a competition and not everybody's gonna like each other and things like that. But yeah, I think this group, we definitely like the drama and the chaos, and we like a little extra spice with our tennis.
It makes tennis complete. I mean, I probably wouldn't enjoy the sport as much if everyone was like a robot and got on with it and just played tennis and then went home at the end of the day and didn't say anything. So,
by the way, I'm probably the most epic racket smasher in the world.
Oh, we should. We need to get to a tournament and have a racket breaking competition between you and guys like Gulbis and Pear.
I've probably smashed more rackets in the past year than they've done in their whole lives.
My rackets have a combined cost of, like, I don't know, £300. Well, nearly like 250. So I wouldn't want to smash a racket.
Yeah, I smashed.
That's why the value of the racket means I'd never smash a racket anymore.
Well, I did. I can't control my temper. I get mad.
That's interesting. I would really like to see you play tennis now that I know you're crazy.
Oh God, when I get competitive, I'm crazy.
Yeah, I would definitely like to see that. I don't play tennis. I mean, I would play like a little bit with my friends, but it was mainly like we would just hit the ball out of the court instantly. And I'm an emotional person. Like, you can read me like a book. I'm very expressive. But I never had the opportunity to break a racket. I've always wanted to, but it would probably bounce up and hit me in the face.
I'll pay to see that.
Yeah, and then I'd break my nose and cry, and Joe would be laughing and talking about turkeys.
The racket makes Courtney Massey a turkey.
What? I haven't played in months, actually. But
I played tonight a bagel with my opponent.
I went through. You what?
I played tennis tonight and a bagel with my opponent. Go me.
Go you. Future Wimbledon champion.
Congratulations.
Me and Joe will have to have a tennis match.
The fact that I played the wall. Hello?
Anyway.
Are you there? Sorry.
No.
I thought you cut out.
No.
Sure.
All right. So, are we ready to wrap up here?
I believe we are.
All right. Well, before we wrap up the show, I just want to quickly mention some in case you missed it moments of this week. I'm sure all of you listening have Twitter accounts and have seen these, but in case you haven't, Vasek Pospisil performed Cornerstone an Arctic Monkeys cover on the guitar, which was pretty cool. I always enjoy seeing the players kind of showcase their other talents and getting to know what they love and things like that. And he wasn't the only one. Serena Williams made a video with Vogue where she dances and plays tennis to Beyonce's 7-Eleven, which is a great song. I love that song so much, and it's a pretty cool video, so if you haven't, check it out, and I will retweet both of those things on the new official Twitter account of Courtside, which is at CourtsideCast. So please follow that as well. And what?
No, what I suggest is if you go to the ATP Insider, Jack Sock was the host of it this week, and it has some cool videos. But what I like especially is the selfies that Jack Sock takes. I don't know if anyone's seen selfies or pictures of Jack Sock. He has the most hilarious pout ever. It's just a perfect pout. It's hilarious.
It's the perfect pout, Joe Craven says.
Yeah.
You've heard it here.
It's one of those pouts that just makes you laugh. It's the Jack Sock pout.
Lots of interesting stuff. Okay, so is that all? Anything else from anybody else before we say goodbye to the folks at home?
I think everyone should watch WrestleMania this weekend.
yes, the big WrestleMania is this Sunday, I believe, and you know, you can buy the WWE Network for $9.99.
$9.99.
And, yeah, so definitely we're all gonna pay attention to WrestleMania and stuff like that. So if you're interested in things other than tennis, you could definitely follow us and talk about wrestling. Also, I'm gonna have an article, like I said, about what tennis can learn from professional wrestling. Hopefully, I'll get that out by WrestleMania. So yeah, watch tennis, watch WWE, watch independent wrestling. All that good stuff. And so that concludes this week's episode of the Courtside Videocast, courtesy of TennisAtlantic.com and the Grandstand, 10grand.com. I want to thank you all so much for listening, and I want to thank Joe Craven and Niall Clarke for joining me and being awesome as always and totally ridiculous. I've been your host, Courtney Massey, and until next time, take care, everyone.